night before the children go to bed, Wally Nibbles chooses a book from his library to read to them. Their favourite book is The Highway Rat by Kerry Catchett. It's an exciting story full of adventure and action. Wally is very good at reading and he puts on different voices for the different characters. He puts on a deep, gruff voice for the Highway Rat and a tiny, little, dainty voice for the pretty Lady Mouse. Sometimes he skips a page to check to see if the children are listening. They get very annoyed with him when he does. Once the book is finished, he sends the children off to bed. They beg him for another story, but he says, "No, go to bed." Before moving to the old mill, the mice children had always been good sleepers and fallen asleep as soon as their little heads touched their pillows. But lately things have changed. At night, strange noises are keeping the family awake. They hear groans and moans, squeaks and creaks. The mouse children are beginning to think that their house is haunted. "Squeak, I'm scared," says Buttercup. "Don't worry, Buttercup, I'll protect you," says Squeak, and she jumps out of bed and pushes her bed next to her little sister's. The two little mice huddle up together. Buttercup thinks her big sister is the bravest mouse maiden she knows. The boys are pretending that the strange noises are not scaring them at all, but lately they've been looking under their beds to make sure there's nothing there before they climb in. The moans and groans, creaks and squeaks continue throughout the night. When the sun comes up, their fears are forgotten and they feel very brave. Bubble and Beans, the naughtiest of the mice children, decide to play a prank on their family. When no one is looking, they creep up to the loft and they plot. They decide to cover Bubbles with a sheet and pretend he's a ghost. They practice making spooky noises, woo, woo, and they giggle and chatter and imagine how scared their sisters will be when they hear them. That night, the two naughty little mice sneak out of bed and creep into the lounge. Beans hides behind a chair and Bubbles, covered in a sheet, pretends to be a ghost. Woo, woo, woo! They're having such fun and making so much noise that they don't even hear the moans and groans, creaks and squeaks coming from outside. And then Wally arrives, and he is not impressed. Bubbles tries to hide the sheet behind a chair, but Wally knows what they've been up to, and he sternly reprimands them both and sends them to bed. Bubbles and Beans will be washing dishes for a month as their punishment, and they'd better not step out of line again. When Wally returns to bed, he lies awake for ages. He too can hear the moans and groans, creaks and squeaks, and he can't understand what is causing the fearful noise. In fact, he lies awake for such a long time that when he does eventually fall asleep, it's almost morning, and when he wakes up, he's got a headache. "Molly, I've been giving it some thought. I think the old mill is just an old building. Perhaps I need to do some home maintenance. I'm sure they're loose planks and squeaky hinges which are causing the awful noises that we're hearing at night." Wally sets about doing all his home maintenance. He hammers down planks. He oils all the hinges and all the doors. He screws down loose floorboards and makes sure that there's nothing loose, and he's very pleased with himself. That night, once everyone's in bed, once again they hear the strange noises. I think we're going to leave the story there and continue with it in our next video. Wally's Eco Buddies, do you think the old mill is haunted? I've never seen a ghost, but I have seen some strange, wonderful animals that look very ghostly. Let me tell you about them. Let's go into the sea and put our head under the water to see where the kelp forests grow. The little creatures I'm going to be showing you are related to the sea anemones and the corals, and they are very, very old, over 60 million years old, which makes them older than the dinosaurs. Ah, there's one now, a jelly. There are many different types of jellies. This one is called a compass jelly. Jellies float on currents, which is why they sometimes wash up on beaches during heavy rains and stormy weather. This jelly is a comb jelly. They look almost transparent because most of their bodies are made up of water. Comb jellies have flashy lights, which they go flash, 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 day and night. What amazing creatures! Comb jellies have no sting, unlike the box jelly, which is very, very stingy. I think that we should treat all sea creatures with respect and try not to touch them. Some jellies have long, stringy tentacles which they use to catch and eat their dinner. You'd think that their tentacles would get knotted like your hair gets knotted, but it never does because they're very, very slippery. I think jellies are wonderful and very ghost-like, don't you? Let's leave our jellies under the water and come up for some air. Oh, that's better. I'd like to thank two very special ladies for providing the photography for this video, Caroline Esthazen and Feroza Sali. If you'd like to find out more about the Kloof Conservancy and Dawn Booth books, you can follow the links provided. Bye-bye.